Hi everyone, welcome back to Mouth in the Matter. So I do Webtoon related things, and if that's up your alley, make sure to subscribe, and let's get right into this. So this video has been in the works for quite a long time. I've been saying I'm going to get to it, but finally let's talk about Let's Play and all the problems I have with Let's Play. I've done my videos, and I've done season 1 reviews on it, so if you want to go watch that, you can go watch that. It's not particularly pertinent, so you don't need to watch it before you watch this one. So I'm going to be talking in a different way than I usually do. So I'm going to structure this with the characters, what I dislike about them or what just irritated me, and then themes I started to see that were popping up with problems that I had with them. So yeah, without any other further ado, also disclaimer, try and come in good faith. No one's paying school fees, hear me out. Try and come in good faith. And another one, don't use me as a scapegoat for why your thinly veiled sexism. Don't use me for that. Personally, I don't really like romance either. I prefer fantasy. That's what my genre. But that's not to say I don't like some romance sprinkled in. Not too much. Sprinkled in, spiced in. But don't use me as don't use this video as yeah, this is a bad romance webtoon. This is a bad webtoon in general. But if you just hate romance and it's something veiled sexism in there, don't use me. But yeah, let's get right into this. First character I'm going to talk about is Dallas. Dallas is Link's younger brother. There's not much to say about him except he's annoying and I don't like him. So yeah, let's go on to the next one next. Okay, so I was joking. Let me expand on that. So I feel like the creator may talk about or expand on his plotline. Maybe there's going to be something about why he's lashing out, probably because something traumatic related to the death of his dad. So I get that if that's something you may like. I don't know. I personally don't really care because I don't care for the character. That's all I have to say about Dallas. Okay, yeah. Okay, so for Link is Dallas's older brother, and he is one of the main characters. I wasn't going to talk about this before, and if I would have put in my season 1 review because it was part of season 1. But it's very evident to me, because I made a TikTok a while back ago, it's very evident to me that a lot of you hate Link. So let me just talk about this right now. I don't hate Link because he rejected Sam. I actually thought that was funny. I thought that was comical. I thought that was comedy gold. I thought that the creator mistakenly stumbled on a gold mine because it was funny. I was gasping, I was wheezing on the ground. It was so funny because it was so random and out of nowhere. And I guess that puts me into why I actually didn't like the scene. It was because it was random, and I didn't hate the fact that it happened. I hated the fact that it took us that long to get there. I just slogged through the better part of one season, so let's say about 80 something chapters. We saw Link blushing furiously over Sam. We saw him pining over Sam. We saw him sad and upset that she was oblivious to and or was not reciprocating his emotions, only for him to be like, yeah, no, I don't find you attractive. It was a funny scene, but it took too long to get there. I did not appreciate how long it took for us to get there. It took us 80 something chapters. I would have preferred if we started with them exploring the relationship, and then when it came to chapter 15, chapter 20, it didn't need to go on for that long. I did not appreciate that. But yeah, I don't hate the character because he did that. I just hated how long it took to get there. But if we do want to talk about why the things that I do dislike about Link, it would be his repeated crossing of physical and emotional boundaries. And one of the most prevalent things is with him and Angela. So Angela is this character, and she went through abuse, and one of the first things that he does that really stuck out to me as annoying and as irritating is when he was prying information from Sam about Angela and what she went through. And I'm actually thinking this is very sensitive information. If you were to be in the know, you would have been in the know. This is something that someone has to invite you to know. You don't invite yourself into that information. So prying Sam for that information, that stuck out to me, and that was very annoying. Second thing off was when after he knew about it, he threw it back in her face. No tact. no discretion, just vibes. And as good intentioned as he was, and he's a very good intentioned person, that comes out for nothing when you end up throwing back into someone's face something that you were not even originally supposed to know about. So that was also really annoying. And then the third thing that was irritating and that he did was that even after knowing what she went through, knowing how she reacted the first time when he put his arms over her, he still tried to touch her, still tried to cross boundaries. And this is actually a repeated thing that some of the men in the webtoon do. Still try to touch her, still try to cross boundaries. And it's like, if 2 plus 2 is 4, if you know about her history now and you've seen how she reacted to you touching her before, what makes you think that unsolicited touching is what she wants? Well, how about space? How about common sense? How about, I don't, it gets to the point where it's really irritating. And it's like, he's out here 6 foot something, probably tall, towering over her, because she's I don't know how tall she is, but he towers over her, full of muscle. Like, what makes you think that feels like a safe environment to be in when he's all up in her space, still touching her, still doing all of that? And it's weird because he's like a nurse or a paramedic of some sort, so like you would think he would have some kind of like tact or some kind of like rule book or some kind of knowledge as to what to do in those situations. And I feel like coming up in people's space may not be what, I mean, I'm no nurse here, I'm no doctor here, I don't know, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that's not what you're supposed to do. So I didn't think TT coming in. I think the situation is really subjective. I personally didn't like how he handled it, but it was rectified later when Vicky came in and played mediator. He's well intentioned, so I get how people wouldn't have a problem with that, especially if it was for Angela's benefit. But yeah. So I don't know, that really annoyed me. And I feel like that's what I hated about his character. I don't hate the fact that he doesn't like Sam. Again, that was hilarious. That was actually really funny. I just hated his repeated crossing of boundaries, so that was irritating, and that wasn't for me. Next character we're going to talk about is Ava. So Ava, she is Marshall's sister, and the website sort of hinted at them having a strange relationship. I don't have much to say about Ava except for how does one have the effrontery, the gall, the gumption, the temerity, the audacity to slut shame Monica while she's out here in the streets, come closer, in the streets, participating in taboo, actually look really cute here, taboo. And I say taboo because BDSM is considered taboo sexual relationship with Charles, with this white man, for free. She's having sex with this man willingly for free. And I say this because this is a bottom tier character. This is the most disgusting character in the entire Webtoon. Charles, what makes you think you have a leg up? What makes you think you have somewhere to stand on? What makes you think you have a leverage to stand up upon? If she was having sex with, let's say, Abe, I would have been like, okay, like it doesn't make the slut shaming and the misogyny cool, but I'd be like, okay, fine. But she's dating Charles, and I say dating loosely because I think they're just sexual partners. It's with Charles, like, ew. I would have if she was a real person, I'd have thrown a shoe at her. I would have thrown a shoe at her, because what makes, anyway. But that's all I have to say about her. Me thinks she's projecting just a tiny bit at Monica. I don't hate her. I really don't hate her, actually. I just think that was a little bit irritating, just a tiny bit irritating, but you know what, I'm fine with Ava. So let's talk about Marshall, Ava's brother. I'm not sure who is older between the two. I feel like Marshall is younger, but I actually don't have much problems with Marshall. I feel like he's one of the better characters. I don't hate this character at all by any means. I will say something that irritated me was when he was in the hospital and he was having and he had fainted, and we just went through such sexual innuendos, and it was really irritating. And I get why he was acting like that. I understand he's insecure about his relationship with Monica. I get that, but did we need the repeated sexual innuendos? Did we need that much? Was it needed? Was it necessary? I just felt so immature. Like, are you 12? Are you an 8th grader? Are you Dallas? Like, make it make sense. But other than that, I'm pretty cool with him. I'm okay with him. Everything's Gucci. Everything's fine. So let's talk about Monica. I have nothing bad to say about her. I genuinely love her. This is the best character in this entire webtoon. I don't know how the creator managed to get her so right, but every single other character is so wrong. I don't know how that happened. I guess you can strike gold once and just not strike it again. I think that's what happened. But for the most part, I don't mind her and Marshall breaking up. I think that made sense. I think there were hints of that, and I think it made way more sense than Sam and Link's breaking up. And I say breaking up quotations because I don't think they were ever officially together, but them realizing that they didn't like each other. Fine. I think this made more sense than all of that, in my opinion. The problem I have with this, though, is that does this mean Monica has been effectively written out? Because as I say, she's a cool side character. She's the best character. She's carrying it on her back, but she's still a side character. And I think most of her proximity to Marshall was what made her in the webtoon. Most of her character was due to her proximity to Marshall. So I just feel like if he's broken up with her, they've broken up, and Marshall inevitably ends up with what's her name, Sam, as that's what I think the webtoon is going to get towards, then what happens to Monica? What happens to the star of this webtoon? What happens to her? Although she's not enough to make this webtoon good, I do think she carried it on her back. So yeah, let's say Monica, she did the damn thing. Let's talk about the next character, Abe. Okay, see, Abe would be a great character. He would be a good character if he, if he wasn't so obviously a black man written by a white woman, And that's all I have to say about Abe. I'll touch on him later. We'll come back to Abe. So let's talk about Sam's dad. I'll probably touch on him later on. I just have to say, there is nothing cute, there is nothing funny, there is nothing entertaining, there's nothing endearing about a grown-ass man rolling around on the floor in hysterics because his wife is in Hawaii, breaking his employee's phone. Nothing about that was cute, and I didn't find it cute since the beginning. I didn't find it cute when he was out here putting like an alarm signal thingy on Sam. I didn't find it cute. I didn't find it endearing. I didn't find it the overprotective helicopter parenting thingy. I didn't find it cute. And I understand it's because Sam was a very vulnerable child. She got born early. I think she was really sick when she was young. I understand that. But there's some borderline misogyny, the way you would see that father-daughter relationship. You probably already have thoughts about it in your head as soon as I said that. Nothing about that is cute. And we'll get on to that later. We'll touch on a little bit later on. Okay, so finally we've come up to Sam, and this is our main character. So I have the most notes about her other than Charles. So let's talk about Sam, and I'm going to just put a trigger warning for self-harm here. Okay, so this is our main character, and I genuinely have nothing really good to say about her. I said once that she's the culmination of every single terrible Wattpad trope, and I stand by that. I could write Sam in my sleep. You could probably write Sam in your sleep. As soon as I said Wattpad trope, your head is already buzzing. You probably already know what you're thinking about. You probably already have the tropes in your head. You probably already know it. She's done, she's dusted. We know about her. I could write her in my sleep. And I wonder when we as a society, we are going to progress past characters like Sam. When are we going to progress past the white, brunette, or blonde? I really don't care at this point. White, brunette, short, tiny, she's innocent, she's sexy, she's hot, but she doesn't know it. That's really important. Probably has really bad self-esteem, somehow manages to bag all the hot guys. Not experience, because that's also important. When are we going to progress past her? Aren't we tired? Aren't we used to it? Don't we want more for ourselves? Don't we want more? And I have a list of things that I want to get through. Some of them may not be coherent. It's just things that really annoyed me throughout the entirety of the webtoon. I mean, mostly season 2. So it may not be coherent, but follow me. Try and follow me. So first off, I blame a lot of the interaction she has with Charles on Charles, but I feel like she can take up some responsibility for a lot of the uncomfortableness that happens in this webtoon. And I think it's because like she genuinely has no sense of workplace etiquette. Episode 101, this was her getting upset at Charles because he called her by her surname. He called her Miss Young, and she was like, oh, are you still by this time of our friend, I thought we were friends. Why are you still seeing me? Why are you still defining me by my family? And I'm sitting here thinking this is one of the most stupid gripes I've ever seen, because he's so obviously calling her Miss Young because of workplace etiquette and just workplace boundaries. Like this, it's her surname. It's genuinely her surname, so I don't understand why that was a problem. And I think it's a very interesting that they mentioned that, oh, but also remember that you are still my boss's daughter. So notice how they mentioned that dynamic, but they never really mentioned the fact that Sam is essentially also working under Charles. Does that make sense? Because she's still underneath him in the workplace hierarchy. So I wonder why they never mentioned that when they're talking about dynamics. Interesting. Funny, huh? So yeah, I just thought that was really strange, and that was very uncomfortable. Episode 104, she tells Charles that she's a virgin, and this is what I mean by lack of distance, lack of social etiquette, lack of workplace boundaries. She literally said that she's been pining over him all night, and that she's so vestal that she's pining over a guy that gives her the slightest attention. She uses the word vestal. What do you mean? How does that even pop up in conversation? How do you freely tell your boss, or even just someone in your work, how do you freely just tell people that, yeah, I'm a virgin? How does that even come up? How does that even fit? How does that even fit in? I'm not even joking. She said she's so vested that she's pining over a guy who gives her the slightest bit of attention. I would have thrown a shoe at her. Because I don't understand. That's not what we're doing here. I don't get it. Episode 123, they did the whole I'm so short, I'm so tiny, my hands are so much smaller than yours. They were comparing hand sizes. It was Charles and Sam, and they did the whole like, wow, your hands are so much bigger than mine, and it was just so cringe. And I don't know how someone could have written out that scene with a straight face, put it out in post, let it go past editors were like, yeah, this is cool, this is fine, and they published it. They greenlit it. They said, yeah, they're gonna eat this up. It was a whole hand size comparing thing. And if you're like, oh, this is cute, more power to you. I'm side-eyeing you a little bit, but more power to you, I guess. I just find it impossibly cringe. I just really do, and it just adds to the whole Wattpad thing that I was telling you about. Episode 94, I just have to ask, was it truly to come and die in this ruminate game? Was it truly what we were meant to do? And I understand it's a game, and it helps with, building stakes, and it's a fantasy inspired game, so I get that. It has elements of tragedy also, so I get it, I can understand it, but we have to think of the bigger context, because I'm forced to think of the bigger context, because the main character, she fashioned it out over herself. Like, the main character is her friends are in the game, so I have to think of the bigger context when her in-person character KYS's herself in the game. The princess KYS's herself when the person who saved her doesn't marry her back. And I'm just like, what is the thinking of, what is the deeper meaning of KYSing yourself when someone doesn't reciprocate your feelings? That's just the thoughts that I had. And foolish me, Foolish me. I was here thinking we were gonna get a good take out of this. Because Charles was surprised. He was like, "What do you mean? What do you mean the princess killed herself? What do you mean that happened?" And she was like, "Yeah, it happened when, you didn't accept it." And he was like, "Oh, then I wouldn't have finished the game if I knew that was what the ending was going to be." And then she was like, "Why?" And then here I was thinking we were gonna get a good take, but he says, "Because marriage doesn't mean happiness." And that's true, but it wasn't the take we needed. Here I was thinking, because you should love yourself enough not to need someone else's love. You shouldn't KYS yourself if someone doesn't reciprocate their feelings for you. That's what I was thinking we were gonna get. I thought we were gonna get a good take. Foolish me for thinking, we were gonna get something of substance there. And it's like, this babe hasn't had a serious boyfriend in her entire life. Why are you giving her a marriage take? That's not what was needed. That's not what was essential there at that point in time. That take was geared towards Charles, but it wasn't what Sam needed, in my opinion. And let me state it right here, I don't care about Charles, so I don't care about his marital problems at all. Maybe I'll touch on this in his Charles video if I end up making that video, but I don't care. So I just felt like that take wasn't needed at that point. I thought the take we needed was, maybe don't KYS yourself, especially if someone doesn't reciprocate feelings for you. So let's talk about Sam and her clothes. I felt like there was no need to throw Sam into the deep end when it came to her change in clothes and her change in wardrobe. And that's not to say she didn't have any autonomy in the matter. She picked some of her clothes. She picked all the clothes. So I don't really have a problem with that. I just felt like there's empowerment in wearing tighter clothing / more revealing clothing, but there's also empowerment in wearing looser clothing / baggier clothing. If tighter clothing isn't your gig, the looser ones can still do it for you. Her thing is that she's looking really frumpy. She comes into work, she's not tidy, she's looking a little bit misshapen, it's not working out. But the thing about it is that baggy and loose doesn't necessarily translate into unsexy or unprofessional or untidy, and I felt like that was the equivalent that was being made there. And I just think about hijabi women, they do it the best. I've seen so many that do the whole modest thing, their skin isn't showing and they still look good. Doing it. They still look cool, effortless as heck. They look so good doing it. So I don't understand why that wasn't the route taken. I just thought the logical next step would be being like, okay, you can still go for looser pieces, baggier things that don't reveal your body too much, but layer well, get pieces that work well in work and out of work. It's not all about showing skin, in my opinion. I think the bottom line is looking good and feeling good from knowing that you look good. So I feel like if tighter clothing doesn't do it for you, if you're not comfortable with that, looser clothing can still do that for you. And I'm not saying that she doesn't look good, and I'm not saying the character isn't gaining confidence. I'm not saying that at all. I think she is. I think she's gaining more confidence, but I don't know. I just feel like at the core level, it's about confidence, and I think it's easier to attain confidence when you're comfortable and can look at yourself and be like, okay, I look good, and then you can ease yourself out of the other things. But speaking of clothes, it really doesn't sit well with me that all the fundamental changes she made to her wardrobe were due in part to Charles. I didn't enjoy that, like how she asked Monica about clothes tips for Charles when she was meeting Charles, and it just, for me, just felt gross. It takes away from what could have been. I said in my first Let's Play video that I actually liked that we had female friendship. We have Vicky and we have Angela. They are friends of Sam. I just felt like you had the opportunity right there in your face. Why did you not utilize the female friendship that was built in there? You could have used that. Female friendships are amazing. They're cool. You are navigating this world as women. You have shared experiences as women. You have all these insecurities, and then just navigating the world, in your body that they've placed so high up on a pedestal, while simultaneously demonizing that body as well. So it was right there. The opportunity was right there for the picking. I don't know why that wasn't utilized. I just feel like the only thing these women gain from seeing Sam, and when I say these women, I mean Vicky and Angela, Sam's friends. The only thing they gain from seeing Sam in tighter / more revealing clothing is that they're like, oh wow, I'm seeing my friend break out of her comfort zone. I'm seeing my friend be more confident in herself. That's the only thing they gain from seeing that. The things that Charles gains from seeing her wear tighter / revealing clothing is getting to ogle her body, getting a more access view to her body. Like, the man wants to have sex with her. So I don't understand why the female friendship that was there, that would have made this whole thing just seem less male gazy. I don't know why that wasn't utilized. The change just felt like, yeah, I'm sexy and I'm owning it, but only because of Charles, and only because on Charles's terms. He literally said in episode 122, and I quote, "If you choose to dress this way for me, make sure it's only where I can see you. I don't like the idea of other people seeing so much of you too." Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean here? The clothes thing just felt like an excuse for Charles to just see her body more, with more ease. And because in my Charles video, I said that whole thing of him being like, yeah, you're being distracting, when she was wearing a tank top that coffee had spilled on her, I said that was BS, because if she had smaller boobs, it wouldn't have been a problem. I said that was BS. So I just have to ask why, when she's wearing more revealing clothes, her cleavage is, the clothes are more revealing, the clothes are tighter as well, you can see her cleavage clearly. Why isn't that too a distraction? Why isn't that too a problem, like how the first one was? And I just, the whole thing is gross in my opinion. I hate the male gazy aspects of it, and it just, you would literally see close-ups of Sam's cleavage, and the whole thing just feels really, really uncomfortable to me. But yeah, so that's all I would say, is that I generally hate their interactions, I hate their touches, I hate their glances. Anytime they have an interaction with each other, I'm skimming, I'm going past, because it's annoying to read. I think they're both annoying individually, and then when they're together, it's ew, it's gross to me. I hate it. So now let's talk about mental health / therapy utilizing this webtoon, or not. I can't remember what chapter that made me write this segment, but I just kept on thinking, how about therapy? Hey, how about therapy? They are all rich, they're all very comfortable, at least the main core characters. They're all rich and comfortable. Why is therapy not being utilized? Why is it not being used? And I know therapy is stigmatized and it's expensive, but they're all well off. They're too well off to be doing all of this nonsense. And I see this as someone with, their own mental health issues. Sam needs to go to therapy. Sam goes to therapy. Sam's dad needs to go to therapy. Like I said, there's nothing cute, there's nothing endearing about a grown man breaking an employee's phone, rolling on the ground in hysterics about his daughter, about his wife. Go to therapy. Just go to therapy. Like in episode 122, he was like, I'm the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. I just can't go off to Hawaii. And I'm like, you're a CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. Damn straight, you don't need to go to Hawaii. Go to a therapy session. Go to therapy. Instead of booking flights, let's book therapy sessions. You get what I'm saying? It's so, like, Sam too, cause she has money. Go to therapy. Charles too, let go of this your wife. Go to therapy. I have this much patience for rich white people in stories who don't utilize therapy. I have this, like, it's non-existent. And Marshall too. Marshall needs to go to therapy as well. And I feel like the creators set up these forms. I know there's a special name for them, I can't remember them now, that sort of represent emotions, feelings, mental health in the webtoon. And I said in my section, my video, that I actually enjoyed that, and I think that was a very interesting concept. And I just feel like it's being so underutilized, and it's to the point where it's feeling heavy-handed now. So I feel like it may still get explored. Therapy and mental health would probably still definitely get explored. Hopefully mental will probably still definitely get explored later on in season 3. I don't see the creator dropping that. I just hope therapy is also explored, because it's getting a lot. It's getting too much right now. So that's me with that section. So let's talk about Fatphobia. Okay, so in episode 98, Sam gets mad at Charles for calling her Bunty, which she thinks one of the meanings of it is short and plump. Turns out he was actually talking about something else, another different meaning, blah blah blah. I don't really care. That's not really important to this right here. And I know fatphobia is ingrained in all of us. I get it. So I can see how sometimes your gut reaction to being called plump or being called fat is a negative one. I get that. I can see how that can happen. But the whole scene felt off. The whole scene felt completely off. I kept on thinking, what am I supposed to take away from this? What am I supposed to take away from what you are telling me in this webtoon? You get Charles saying, oh my gosh, no, I would never say something so uncouth. I would never say such rude things. And you get Sam being like, so you don't think I'm fat? You don't think that? And he's like, no, never that. Never that. I would never say that. I would never think that. Let me take you to dinner. Let me atone for the grievous mistake of implying that you were fat. You see what I'm saying here? And honestly, just felt like we were equating fatness to undesirability. Like it was an insult. Like he had to apologize for doing all of that. And I don't know, the optics of that just felt weird, especially in a webtoon and especially in that specific plot point where Charles is helping Sam. I have my own thoughts on this. Helping Sam. He's helping Sam with her confidence thing, and it's like, okay, so do fat people, should they just go die? Should they just go fall inside a well? I don't understand. Do they not deserve confidence too? I don't understand the optics of that. I didn't get what we were supposed to take away from that. And I get the complicated relationship she may have with her body. Like I said, she was sick for a long time. I understand that, and apparently she's living in the shadow of her beautiful mother, blah blah blah. If I get into my opinions about this whole white woman, blonde, brunette politics, all I have to say is that they're both the beauty standard, so I really don't have patience for oh, my mom's a beautiful blonde when Sam is a beautiful brunette, and they're both the beauty standard, so I really don't have patience for all of that. But that was a tangent. I'm not dismissing that she was sick. I'm not dismissing body dysmorphia issues, because those are very serious things, and I don't want to minimize that. And I know the beauty standard isn't being fat, but that doesn't make fat people any less deserving of respect or any less deserving of basic human decency. So I just don't know what the message was there. And notice how he didn't have to apologize for calling her short. Almost like short is a descriptor. Almost like short is something you should be offended by. Almost like short is kind of like something to... If I talk on this, we'll get into the optics of, the way the beauty standard is skewed to, and how it's... if I talk about that, you guys will say I'm reaching. But don't act like shorter girls aren't seen as more desirable as taller girls. If I talk more, you'll say I'm reaching. But I could speak forever on this. And also it just adds on to the whole Wattpad thing. Like you're building a case here. I know you're following me. I know you're smart, so I know you're already like, Titi, this is weird. I know it's weird. But she only took offense to the fat parts. He didn't have to apologize for the short parts. And I thought that was off. So I don't know, tell me what you thought about that. But okay, so next we are going to talk about the sexualization of female characters. There's this weird trend of the female characters being sexualized, and it's almost always in very vulnerable, very non-sexual situations that just make it more uncomfortable and make it very just odd and gross. Like, you're not in a sexual situation, none of this was hot, so why are you getting aroused? You get what I'm saying? So take Link and Angela. They were having a conflict based around Link knowing her, what happened to her and her partner violence that she incurred. I'm just wondering, what about her making skin contact with Link was hot? And she was angry as heck too. She was really angry, and we know she has anger problems and she doesn't like getting angry because she loses control. I'm just out here wondering, what about that was hot? What about that was sexy? What about that made you blush? What about that made you blush? I didn't get it. I didn't get the situation. Episode 112, Sam is panicking. She's having an asthma attack, and then we get a shot of her cleavage from above. She's having a panic. She's having an asthma attack. We get like a cleavage from Charles' point of view. What about that is sexy? What about that was hot? Episode 81, same with Charles, and the other female characters, Ava and Monica. Like, you get Charles, who is sleeping with Ava. Ava's brother is in the hospital. She's obviously in a lot of distress about that. Now, Ava's brother has a girlfriend who is Monica. Monica is also in distress. Monica and Ava are arguing. This is what I said, she was slut shaming Monica, but they were arguing, they were fighting because they had never met each other before this. He had kept them both away from each other. They were arguing in the hospital. What about that is hot? These are real emotions. What about that was hot? What about that was sexy? Like, we get Charles like sexualizing them, imagining them kissing on top of, I think it was a hospital bed, and I'm like, what about that is sexy? What about that situation was like, yeah, let me sexualize this is hot, you know what I'm like? It not only is it sexualizing women, it's sexualizing women loving women relationships, and I just thought that was so gross. It was for the male gaze, and it's gross. I didn't like that at all. And this is my last section, so let's get on to the racism in this webtoon. So speaking about sexualization, let's talk about the way Abe was handled. I did say we were going to come back to this, so now we're here. So I actually used to like Abe, but I actually really liked his character. Actually, I was like, yeah, Abe and Monica, they're holding this webtoon on their backs. But Abe is very much clearly written by a white woman, and it was so clear in episode 105 when I'm seeing descriptors of Nubian, when I'm seeing descriptors of Goliath being used to describe Abe. And yeah, I'm not joking, Nubian god, Goliath, they were both used. Both those were Nubian, Goliath, made from every woman's wet dreams. When I see things like that, I get a little bit uncomfortable. I get a little bit uncomfy. It doesn't sit right on my soul, because I know how black men and black masculinity is fetishized. So I don't like seeing that. And like Nubian god, object of every woman's wet dreams, it feels already sexual. It feels very exotified, very fetishy. And I can tell you right now, I don't know many black people who call themselves Nubian gods, because Nubian is like, they're actual Nubian people. I believe that's like Egypt and like Sudan. I don't call myself Nubian goddess. I don't call my friends Nubian goddess unless it's in a parodying way. Like, we call ourselves that, but it's supposed to poke fun at the way black women and black people are fetishized and are being exotified. So when I'm like, oh my gosh, Nubian queen, I never say that in a serious way. I've never used that way any serious. My black people will know, unless you're let me not use this term. So yeah, the descriptor data sounded like something you would find in a corn website, and then couple that with the treatment of Marshall as well. Monica hooking up with him because he looked like a J-pop star. Marshall's half Japanese, by the way. Him saying, why haven't I manifested my anime powers yet? Why haven't I been taught forbidden martial arts? I'm going to leave that to Asian people, specifically Japanese people, to tell me. Let me not, tell me what you felt about that. Same with Dean, the Latino character, who is very charismatic, kind of flirtatious, who has like red flower petals drawn around him when he talks. I'm going to leave that to people that are part of the Latino community to tell me what they thought about that, But we can also talk about Ava, and we can talk about how Sam was afforded consent when she was when she was drunk and she was with Charles. We can talk about how that happened, but that same kind of grace, and I say grace like this because it's the bare minimum. Consent, you should get consent, is the bare minimum. Why that wasn't afforded to her by Charles when they were fencing. The only thing he apologized for was calling her a bitch. He didn't apologize for grabbing her by the chin. I think he pushed her against the wall, I can't remember, but I know he grabbed her by the chin and called her a bitch. He only apologized for the bitch part. He didn't apologize for doing all of that, and apparently it's all part of their BDSM relationship, but that was outside the context of a bedroom. There was no consent giving. They were fencing. So I wonder why. that privilege was a privilege. Again, that's the bare minimum. I wonder why the bare minimum was afforded to this white woman in the story, but not the half Japanese girl Ava. I wonder why it wasn't afforded to the half Japanese woman there. But you know, I will leave that to people a part of that community to talk about. What I will say, coming from someone who's black, for someone of the black community, that descriptor of Abe made me very uncomfortable. It felt very tokeny, and if you couple that with the fact that he seemed to be scary, Abe seemed to be scary, seemed to be intimidating and scary to the arcade workers and to Marshall. Couple that with the Goliath descriptor. Goliath is someone who's huge. Couple that, like, it's so weird. It's very gross stereotypes, and even if you think they are positive, they are no positive stereotypes. They are actually very negative, and they are very dangerous, and they are only affecting black people. So whenever you play into those kinds of stereotypes, so this is for Mungi, I don't know how to pronounce that name, and this is for all Webtoon creators. I like to think that none of you perceive me, but I know some of you do. I know some of you see these videos. I want you to be very careful with the way that you write your people of color characters. I want you to be very careful with that, how you write black characters, how you write POC characters, because you are making media, you are impacting people, you are spreading stereotypes, you are spreading harm if you continue to write like this, and it's only going to serve to harm people of those marginalized communities. The treatment of Abe is only going to serve to harm black people. It's only going to serve to harm black people. Let's Play has millions of subscribers. I think it has like 3.9, so nearly 4 million subscribers. It gets upwards of 100,000 likes every single episode. Like, you are making media. You have to be more careful than that. So to all creators, white creators especially, please be careful. Do your research. Think to yourself, why does my one black male character have a combination of all these traits? Why did I think Nubian God? Why did I think Goliath? Why did I think intimidating and scary? Why did I think all of those? Why did I think object of every woman's sex dreams? Why did I think of all of that? Why did that come to my head? Literally go Google the Mendigo stereotype. Go and look onto how it was used to paint black men as animalistic, brutish, overly sexual, aggressive, and how that was used to justify killing them and dehumanizing them. Like, literally just go Google it. The black woman's equivalent was the Jezebel stereotype, and both of them, they are both still pervasive to today. And I think this opens up a wider conversation, and a wider conversation needs to be had on who is on these editor teams, who are on these editor teams for these Webtoon original creators, because I think that they get the original creators, they get like editors and all that stuff. Who is on there? Is Webtoon hiring black people? Because I feel like if this was run past a few black people, this would have been flagged. I feel like this would have been like, they would have been like, yeah, this isn't looking cute, this isn't looking cute, your biases are jumping out, your internal bias, even though you think it's good. These stereotypes aren't good. No stereotype, no racial stereotype against people of color are ever good. No matter how good you think they are never good. I feel like that would have been flagged, and I feel like that would have been something that would have been brought up. So it opens up a wider conversation. Who are on these teams? Is it a diverse team? Because it's not looking like it, and it's not the first time that I've seen a Webtoon have weird racial, microaggressive, anti-black things. It's not the first time I've seen that. So yeah, so I'm just wondering how that made it past editors and onto the screens of thousands of people. I wonder how that would have happened. But yeah, I just did your work for free, and I'm feeling a little bit upset about that. But every day is pay a black person for educating white people on racism. So pay up.
Now go ahead and send me money. Yeah, money, cash.
Every day is a good day to pay people of color for educating white people on racism. So pay up, or subscribe, and anything that's completely fine. Subscribe. But yeah, that's it. That's my whole video. And that's the reasons why I don't like Let's Play I wanted to film this video before the next upload, but then the next upload actually happened today. Today's the 7th or 8th. No, today's the 6th. Yeah, today's the 6th of July. So I wanted to film that before this, but what I predicted to happen about them not having sex actually happened. I think I predicted this in my last video, so I knew that wouldn't happen. But yeah, I'm supposed to do a follow-up on Charles. I'm supposed to do a Charles video. If I have the mental capacity to do that, I will do that. I don't know if I feel like doing it though, but like I may just do that, but we'll have to see. So yeah, I hope this video was coherent. I hope it was cohesive. I hope I just hope you were able to understand any of this or any of just what I said. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure to subscribe. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Anyway, yeah, bye.